All right. So for a lot of you that came to the business meetings, this will be somewhat of a brief review. So the review portion is going to be relatively quick and simple. But I did want to make sure that even those people that were in the meetings that heard all about this already had a good understanding of what it is, and also, of course, had an opportunity to ask any questions. That said, if you weren't able to make the business meetings, you're going to get a lot of great new information about this program, and you're also going to hear kind of how it's going to be used. And so at the meetings, we talked about what it is, and so today we're going to overview what it is again, but really dig into how you can use it and how we're integrating it into our listing presentation, business plan, et cetera. So again, the idea is, and the program is called FlexMove. It's a new program that's going to allow you to provide more data to your consumers, right? So, in a world of disruptors and this and that, we know here that it's all still about relationships. It's not necessarily something that is going to change the world and this and that. What real estate is and what real estate will always be is about relationships. And so this program is not a disruptor in any way. It's a tool for you to deepen the relationships that you already have, right? We also think it can be a lead generation tool. So it does give you the ability to go out there and generate new relationships. However, the main purpose of it is to deepen those existing relationships, capitalize on your existing listing opportunities, and build your business from there. So what is FlexMove? FlexMove is all about multiple choices and maximum certainty for your clients. And so if I jump in the three tools, let me see if I can get my slideshow here working. There we go. We're going to look at three tools pretty quickly today. These are the same three tools we looked at last time. They've been updated slightly, so you'll see some changes taking place. But we're going to look at the Offer Optimizer today, which you kind of see up here. I'm not sure if you can see my mouse circling, but so we'll look at the Offer Optimizer report. So this is the report that the Offer Optimizer can review or can generate, excuse me. And then this is the Property Profiler. This is the tool that you will use to actually collect offers, and I'll tell you more about that here in just a second. So we have a lot of iBuyers in DFW. We're lucky, right? We have them all. If you're an iBuyer, you operate in DFW. So the big five that we're going to talk about today is Zillow Offers, OfferPad, Opendoor, Redfin, and Perch. So what do iBuyers do? You guys know what iBuyers are because we're in the business. But from your consumer's point of view, from your seller's point of view, what does Opendoor offer, for example? They offer speed, they offer certainty, and they offer convenience. Well, we also know that they offer, or what they say they offer in their marketing, which is the same price, right? You can get the same price for your home without having to spend, having to show your home or costly realtor fees. They make it sound like it's not only speed, certainty, and convenience, but it's also the same amount of money, right? Well, the truth is speed, certainty, and convenience is fact. They do a very good job of making the process easy for the consumer. The mistruth or the flat out lie is that people can generate the same amount of net return on their investment when they sell through one of these people, right? And so that's what FlexMove is all about. FlexMove is disproving that. We're big believers in what Mike Del Prete said. Companies and agents that will win will be those that empower consumers to make the right decision for themselves, right? For us to thrive and build and continue to grow our business, we have to put the consumer first. And we've always been about that here at Better Homes Guns Real Estate Winans. We've always put the consumer first. And this is just another way that we're able to do that. What we know is that the vast majority of time, it's kind of a dumb decision to try and go sell your home to one of these iBuyers. It's stupid, right? You're going to lose a lot of equity in your house. However, it's not always a bad decision. A lot of times you're going to end up, or very rarely, you're going to end up talking to somebody that is, they got relocated. They are a hoarder and their house is filled with stuff. And you know that there is no way that they are ever going to be able to get this home up to speed to be able to market it. They're not willing to have people through their house for showings. Whatever the reason might be, there's a small segment of the population that will sacrifice money for speed and convenience. And it's a small percentage, but it exists and it's not going away. There's always going to be that. The same thing, it's why iBuyers aren't really anything new. iBuyers, the only thing new about them is their budgets. They have incredible marketing budgets. They can spend tons and tons of money spreading some truths and some lies through their marketing campaigns. Think about We Buy Ugly Houses. We Buy Ugly Houses have been around forever, and they do the exact same thing. They find houses that people don't want to mess with selling, and they buy them, they fix them up, and then they resell them, right? There's nothing to it. It's a very simple business model. Again, the big difference is Wall Street money is now funding multi-million-dollar marketing campaigns. I think Opendoor is now valued at $3.8 billion. So they've got a lot of money to spend, and the best way to spend it is to generate consumers, right? Consumer traffic to their website, and they do that through marketing. So getting back to that quote, though, we understand that there's a rare opportunity in a rare instance that it does make sense to sell these people. And so that's what we want to help our consumers understand when that opportunity arises. So we have a landing page that you can get to from our website, betterdfw.com. This link can also be posted or sent out or anything like that. The idea of this landing page, though, is to generate leads. We want to, in addition to giving you this powerful tool, which, by the way, is the first and foremost purpose of this program, is a tool for you, the realtor, okay? This is something that you can use to educate your consumers and potentially to generate additional opportunities for yourself. However, we're at the company level, we believe that we can use this platform to also generate some business for you guys through, spending money on advertising, pay-per-click advertising, social media advertising, lots of different ways that we can get this word out here. So the landing page will be a place for consumers to go and start learning about what this program is, what it can be all about, and start playing around with tools. The Offer Optimizer is really the most powerful part of this whole program. And so because of that, I'm actually going to jump in and show you a live demo of the Offer Optimizer. So give me 1 second while I switch my screens. Let's see here. And we're going to pull this guy up. Should be able to share Offer Optimizer. Share. All right, you guys should be able to see my screen. If you cannot, let us know in chat, but you should see our logo up at the top, a place to enter an address, our logo here, and then what the iBuyers look like. So what you see here is an actual address, a home that one of our agents listed. I mean, it's Crystal Miles. I'm not sure if Crystal's on the call, but the address is there. The approximate home value is there. And this is what Crystal was able to do. Crystal logs in, not even logs in, goes to the Offer Optimizer, enters the address, types in the estimated sales price. Okay, so this is not, a tax appraisal number. This is not a Zestimate. This is what you believe the house will sell for. The good thing is you guys are really, really good, not just at determining list prices. Whatever you set the list price at, you have a really good idea what it's going to sell for. And so I recommend putting that number in this field right here, what that home you believe it sell for. So what happens from there? So when you hit go, it generates this, okay? So if I scroll down, I can see the price for the home being sold on the open market here, right? If we were to list your home, market it to our full extent, and sell the home, your cost of selling is going to be around $20,000, and your estimated net is going to be around $229,000. So if I expand the details here, you'll see a lot of numbers here that help understand what this process looks like. And I'll let you guys kind of explore those on your own. You can hover over, read a little bit more about each one and what it means. These numbers can change and update over time as we get more data on our average days on market, our average list to close time frame, all that kind of stuff. Then you're going to see the fees. So this is probably one of the more important columns here, okay? You've got service fee. The reason that's there is because all of these iBuyers are going to list a service fee. They don't call it a commission, right? They call it a service fee. So for us, the service fee is 0, obviously. And the commission, seller agent 3%, buyer agent 3%. We're estimating around, I think the prep and repair cost for getting your home ready and any repairs that might be needed tends to be around 1.2, 1.3%. And so that's where those numbers are coming from, and then closing costs. All right. So your estimated net, all of that through the process, your estimated net is going to be around $229. Now, this is not a seller's net sheet. This is not going to kind of give them an actual net sheet and breakdown. This is kind of before some of those final details. It does have prep and repairs, and it does have closing costs, but you guys know there's a lot more to it than that. The reason it doesn't show that here is because these companies are never going to show that to you either, even though those costs still exist. So we're trying to compare apples to apples. So let's go look. If we know that 229 is a good estimated net for listing with Crystal at 250, let's look at what some of these instant sale offers are going to look like, okay? And so let's look at Zillow first. So I'm going to pull up Zillow, and right off the bat, you can kind of compare some of these likelihood of successful sale. The numbers drop substantially. The overall likelihood that your home is going to qualify, that you're going to like the offer, that something's not going to break down in the repair process or whatever it is actually less than 2%. So the overall likelihood, so if they actually want to sell their home, this right off the bat may not be a good option for them because it's not likely to actually get done. All right, but let's move on past that and let's look at the price point. So, okay, well, hey, 245, that's pretty good. If you're telling me it's worth 250, but I don't have to show my house, I don't have to do anything, I can close whenever I want, I might sacrifice that. Who knows, right? We can talk about it anyway. So the problem is that's not the whole story, right? Not only are you going to get less for your house, but Zillow, we have the current average service fee for Zillow, though recently we've gotten much higher than this. We've seen much higher than this. But the current average for Zillow is a 7.1% service fee, all right? So we've got $17,000, $17,400 in service fees. You are still going to represent them in the sale of their home to Zillow. Now, you're not going to have to market the property. You're not going to have to take pictures. You're not going to have to do a lot of those upfront expenses. So rather than what we have up here, the 3% commission, we're just going to show a 2% commission. Now, of course, if you sell it to Zillow, there is 0 buyer's agent commission, all right? So you're starting to see kind of how all this works. So you've got your service fee, you've got your seller agent fee, and we know that the iBuyers actually put up around 3 to 4, somewhere in that ballpark, depending on which iBuyer we're talking about, show 3 or 4% in prep and repair costs. So when you're looking at the prep and repair costs, you can see that's a huge jump from what likely the real prep and repair costs could be. Let's see. So where do we land? Okay, well, we had an estimated net of 229 here, and estimated net with Zillow of 215. So you can see, and most importantly, your client will see very quickly that they're leaving money left on the table of $14,000. Okay, I'm not going to go step by step through the rest of these, but I will show you kind of how they all shake out. Opendoor, similar offer price, slightly less in service fee. And prep and repairs tends to be higher, but Opendoor also includes closing costs. A lot of the time, even though they don't say that up front, will include closing costs, whereas Zillow offers does not. So again, money left on the table. OfferPad, similar sales price, similar service fee, money left on the table, right? Their prep and repairs was even higher, so were their closing costs. Redfin Now, price dropped pretty substantially there. Service fee 7%, and you can kind of see where we land. So for each of these, your seller can really see the estimated amount of money that they are going to leave on the table by going one of those routes. Remember, most of the time, that doesn't make sense, right? There will be times where it does. And this gives you the ability to have these conversations. Because one thing we know with those multi-million-dollar marketing budgets is that your consumer knows about this. And likely your consumer has already logged in and looked at it, right? They've been hit with TV ads, radio ads, and internet ads all over the place. And so even if they don't mention it to you, because that's an uncomfortable conversation. If they're talking with you, an agent that wants to list and market their home, they may not feel comfortable bringing up the fact that they've already talked to Opendoor, right? This allows you to bring that up in a controlled environment anyway, right? We had a great example. This is one of the things I'm most excited about FlexMove is it's pretty simple and straightforward to the point where before we even had this additional webinar training, we had a lot of agents out there using it. One of the agents, John Archer, John, I hope you don't mind me sharing the story, was at a bowling alley recently and talking to somebody that he was there with. And I think he mentioned that, I don't know if it was his dad or somebody else, had been getting pounded by all these instant offer companies, all these companies that wanted to buy his house for cash, make it easy. He didn't have to move this and that. Well, what did John do? John, being the great realtor that he is, he had his laptop with him. John pulls out his laptop, connects to the hotspot, opens up the offer optimizer, puts in the address, puts in an expected price point, and walks him through what that actually means if he was to do that. Yeah, it's going to save him some time. Yeah, it's going to save him some headaches potentially, right? But it's also going to cost him X thousand dollars or X percent of his equity on his property. Well, from what I heard, that John and his friend's father are now in context to list the home, right, on the open market, because he wanted to sell. He thought he was going to get as much money from Opendoor as he would have gotten on the open market, until he learned that that's not necessarily the case, right? So it's a great educational tool. So well done, John. I'm proud of you, man. All right, so that's the Offer Optimizer. What do you do, and how do you present this, though? This is a lot of data, and you don't always have your computer to be able to do it. So the simplest way to present these estimates, remember, these are estimates because we haven't actually solicited offers yet, which I'm going to show you in a second. You download the PDF right there on that button, and that's going to create a 2-page document. Again, normally it would be 1 page, but since we're in DFW and we have all 5 iBuyers, it takes 2 pages to show all those. And what it does is it compares side by side by side all the offers, including what you can do here, right? And the money left on the table, right? That's the part we always highlight because it's the most important part and the biggest reason it never makes sense to list with these companies or sell your home to these companies, right? So if you look at Zillow, Opendoor, OfferPad, Redfin, and Perch, you're all leaving a lot of money on the table, right? So this is what you would print out and bring with you on a listing presentation, okay? This report. Now, I got that by doing my search, address, approximate home value, and clicking download PDF, right? That provides you with that offer estimate, all right? Let's say that, and I'm not going to walk you through this next process, but because it's pretty straightforward. But let's say that you were with your client, and you know what? They're in the 0.5% of the population that this makes sense for, and they want to collect the offers. You'll click Get All Offers, and with your client, typically, it's best to do this next part with your client. You will walk through this entire process of sharing the details about the home, which is a great way to build some rapport and deepen your relationship. Remember, this is all about deepening your relationship. It's a great way to build some rapport and deepen that relationship with your client by going through this process, okay? And it teaches you everything you need to know about the house as well. So once you do that, you'll submit the property profile, and our team at Zavvy, who we partnered with to create this program, our team at Zavvy will go use the data you've entered and collect offers from all 5 companies. Now, let's say that, because each of these companies has different criteria, each of these companies goes about things a little bit differently. And so let's say that out of the 5, 3 of them came back. Maybe Perch wouldn't do it because it was just out of their age range of when the home was built. Maybe Zillow wouldn't do it because it was slightly higher price point than what they're currently buying. All these companies change their prices, change their ages, they change their criteria all the time. So it's a little bit tough to follow, but this is the best way to find out what they're currently offering is by going through that process. Pretty simple, pretty straightforward process. And what this does, by going through this changes. Let me go back to my slideshow here. Let's see here. Share, PowerPoint. All right, you should be able to see PowerPoint. I'm going to go full screen. Can you still see the PowerPoint? Mm-hmm. All right. So we're going to move over from Offer Optimizer to Property Profile. Once you fill the Property Profiler out and they start sending offers, which, by the way, they are going to send directly to you, not to the seller, so you stay in control of the entire process. The offer report I just showed you, which previously was all estimates, as you receive those offers from Opendoor, from Perch, from Zillow, from whoever, you just simply forward those on to Zavvy, okay? Because again, Zavvy makes sure that you're the center point of all of this, right? So you're going to get the offer before they do. But when you forward them on to Zavvy, Zavvy will replace all the data in this report with the actual numbers that the offers came back at, okay? So you now have a report that no longer is an estimate, that summarizes the exact offers that you have, and it's going to still highlight that money left on the table in actual dollars, right? So offer report. So I want to show you some real world examples. These are things we did not have when we showed everybody at the business meetings. But since then, agents have already jumped out there and are using the platform and using the tool. And so I'm going to actually pull up Crystal Miles' scenario. Crystal, I hope you don't mind me doing this. We have collected actual offers on this property. I showed you that property earlier on the offer estimator, or on the offer optimizer, and you can see OfferPad came back with an estimated cash offer of $212. Now, what is that? There's a purchase price of $230. There's a 7.5% service charge. The repairs are still pending, so this does not include repairs yet. Okay, so that number will grow, right? Or this number will shrink. The estimated cash offer is $212. Well, if you remember back, if you remember back to when I showed you the estimator, FlexMove, our tool, estimated a net of $211. Very, very close, and that's again before cost and repairs. So that number might go down to exactly that number if depending on where those cost and repairs come out. Perch came in $223 offer price, but only a 3% broker fee. So they actually do call it a broker fee. They only did 3%, but what did they do? They dramatically lowered the offer price. Okay, so you've got 223 instead of 230, or what your estimate or what Crystal's estimate was, 250. Okay, so they snuck in a lower offer price but reduced their service fee. Okay, net to seller 214. The estimated FlexMove net was 212. Again, pretty darn close. Zillow took the approach of, we're going to offer a lot of money. So what's the biggest thing you see on that screen on Zillow's offer? It's that big price, right? And so they're trying to just instantly make you feel like you're getting top dollar for your home. Well, then you come down, it's, we estimated a 7.1. This is an 8.1 that came back from them, 8.1% service charge. Again, this is before any repairs, okay? So that's still going to have to happen, all right? Oh, no real estate agent fees. Oh, wow, that's great. But 8.1% Zillow fee. So estimated closing cost, they like I said, Zillow does put those in there. 222 potential cash proceeds, and FlexMove estimated 220. The reason I showed you these actual offers along with what the estimator did, I want you guys to know that this data that we're using to make these estimates is legit. Zabby has collected thousands and thousands of offers from each of these iBuyers and hundreds of offers in DFW, right? Because all these iBuyers do things market by market. So they understand where these offers come in at, and they've based that data, they based the offer optimizer data inside of real data that they've collected. So they've done a great job, and you can see how close these numbers are. And remember, these are all pre-repair numbers, okay? So what happened? Well, Crystal, as you can imagine, was able to show that you don't want to sell to these guys. Let's list your home, okay? So there's the home. And I checked this morning, and I looked in Dotloop, and I see that there is an offer, I believe it's under contract, at the list price of $250, right? So she was able to go out there and do exactly what she proved. She typed in $250 on the offer optimizer. She showed all the estimates, which were very, very close and in line. They chose to list with Crystal on the open market, and boom, they got what they expected, and everybody's happy. I can see we have some questions going in there in the chat. And so I will pause here in just a second, and we'll read through some of these. It looks like Justin's been kind of answering a bunch. So I'll check with him in a second and see if there's any conversations that need to happen. Real quick, let me just take you through this process, okay? Because I showed you a lot, and it can sound like a lot, but it's really pretty simple. And there's a couple of really important parts on this screen, okay? The first thing you do on a listing appointment, on a listing presentation, is you're going to present that report, that downloaded PDF that I showed you. You're going to present that report to your client, okay? And so you're going to present that report to your client and show them what it looks like on the open market versus selling to these iBuyers, okay? You're going to then, step 2, very, very important, secure a listing agreement, okay? Opendoor, Zillow, Perch, a lot of agents have said, well, are these companies going to get mad that we're doing this? Blah, blah, blah. No, they're actually on board with what we're doing here. The reason is all we're doing is giving them the ability to make more offers, right? We're giving them the ability to connect with more potential sellers, right? So they have no problem with this, right? They know that less than 1% of the people are going to want to sell the house to them, but they love the idea of making offers, right? That's what their business model is based around. So to do that, though, they require, Zillow requires, all those iBuyers require for you to collect offers on behalf, a signed listing agreement, okay? And we're gonna take you through what that looks like here in a second. Once you do that, and they are interested, if they're interested in the Flex Move approach, right? Then you're gonna fill out that property profile form with them. Remember I said that's a great way to build rapport, deepen that relationship. You'll fill out that property profile, and Zavy will go request all those offers on your behalf. All the offers from Opendoor, Zillow, Perch will come right back to your inbox, okay? So you are the first one to see those offers in your inbox. You'll forward them as they come in. You'll hit forward to Zavy, and you'll have their email address because they'll be in close contact with you already. They'll forward those to Zavy. They will build an updated report for you so that you can go and present those actual offers in a great little downloaded PDF spreadsheet that looks great to your seller, okay? Once you've done that, they can decide if they want to move forward with one of those offers or list on the open market. We know that 99% of the time they're going to list with you on the open market. So hopefully those steps are pretty simple and pretty clear. So let me pause here for just a second and see if there's any questions. I don't believe there is a mobile app just yet. So the website is mobile friendly. So if you go to any of these links on a mobile device, it's going to work just fine. That's what John did. Okay. So John did it not on a laptop. He did it on his mobile phone, which is great. So whether you have a computer, a tablet, or a phone, you can have the optimizer or Offer Optimizer, Flex Move Offer Optimizer with you at all times. Let's see. Any other questions in here? First decline the offer based. Yeah, so Mark Robertson had a good, solid experience kind of going through the process, and he kind of saw some of the criteria of why people have removed it. John saved the link to his phone. That's great. I don't know if you guys know, but at least on the iPhone, I'm sure on Android, you can create links to the website. I don't know if you guys can see my camera right now, my webcam, but I'm showing my phone, and right there is a link to our sales board. It looks like an app, right? But if I tap on that, it's going to open up our Winans BHG sales board for everybody. So that's a great way. You can either bookmark it in your browser, or you can save it as an actual icon on your home screen. That's a great point. Thanks, John. All right, real quick, I want to turn it over to Justin just for a second, because a lot of the questions we got were based around, what do I put in there? What do I say in the listing agreement to make sure all of this flows? Because remember, step one, or actually technically after you present the estimates, step two, is get a signed listing agreement. Well, what do you put when you don't know what they're going to do yet? Let me turn that over to Justin to explain.
Sure. Good morning, everybody. I just 5 seconds before I was supposed to talk, had a little bit of an allergy attack, so good timing there. But anyway, I just wanted to kind of walk you through the very simple basics of the listing agreement and what that looks like if the buyers do decide this is something they want to pursue. Paragraph 5 in the listing agreement, again, this is the standard exclusive right to sell listing agreement, TAR form, just as if it were a typical listing, right? We're on paragraph 5, we're going to check 6% of the sales price, because we always do 6% listings, right? Yeah. And then in paragraph 15, the special provisions paragraph, we're going to write in the following language, and I'll make sure you guys have this via email so you can copy and paste, save it into an email folder, onto a Word doc, whatever. So in these situations, you can just basically take the language that myself and some attorneys have come up with and put that in there. So essentially it says, if the seller chooses to accept and closes on an offer from one of the following iBuyers, again, we're talking about Zillow offers, Redfin Now, OfferPad, Perch, and Opendoor. Paragraph 5, which we just covered, the broker compensation paragraph, will be amended to read 2%, and paragraph 8A and 8B, obviously, will be blank. This is the cooperation with other brokerages, because there is no buyer's agent in these situations. So, of course, there is no buyer's agent commission. So, and I kind of close it out by saying, in such transactions, there will be no buyer's agent commission, and the seller will only pay 2% commission to the broker. Does that make sense to everybody? All right, so let's say the iBuyer sale goes through. You know, they decide, you know what, after looking at all this, and I know I can get more on the open market. However, I got to move in 2 weeks. I don't want people coming through my house. My place is a wreck. I just want to get this thing done with without having, you know, a caravan of buyers come through. So let's just go the iBuyer route. We like OfferPad's offer. Let's take it. Great. So we're still going to represent them in that case. They still need us for guidance. In fact, there's a stat, I'm not sure if it's on this deck or not, that, you know, even though, you know, about 50% of people might look into the iBuyer thing, 80% of the people that actually would take that offer are going to want representation or expect representation. So we're still going to help them with this. Obviously, like Mark said, we have no marketing expenses. There's no photography. There's no, you know, all that extra work you got to do up front, because it's basically you got a ready, willing, and able buyer off the bat. So we're just going to do an amendment to the listing agreement in that case. So of course, you put in the property address up top, the date of this agreement, and you're going to check box D, saying that the following paragraphs are going to be changed. In this case, we're going to change paragraph 5, 8A, and 8B. And then I have the language down there. First off, paragraph 5, broker conversation, will be amended to read 2%, because remember originally we had it at 6%, like a standard listing agreement. And then we're going to also mention that paragraph 8A and 8B, cooperation with other brokers, is amended to read 0. So we're obviously going to offer to pay that cooperating brokerage on the standard listing agreement of 3%. However, if an iBuyer comes into play, then we are going to change 8A and 8B to obviously 0, because there is no other brokerage. Clear as mud?
So Austin had a question. Austin put in the chat. He said, "What if the seller just wants to compare iBuyer offers but doesn't want to actually list?" So that's a great question. And really, the answer is that's what the estimates are for. Okay, that's where your ability to tell them the data we have generates very, very accurate estimates to what these offers are going to be, and you can tell them, look, I cannot legally solicit offers on your behalf from anyone unless we have a listing agreement in place, right? So, so you know, what I would do is talk through the estimates one more time, but tell them, because the last thing you want to do is go collect all these offers from all these iBuyers, and then hand them over to your seller, and you don't have a listing agreement signed. Yeah, that's a real easy. You've just done all the work for them. It's a real easy option and possibility for them to just say, "Oh, thanks. Let me call Opendoor," right? So again, you could still talk them, you know, into the value of having you represent them and everything like that. But yeah, I would, so legally you shouldn't, and I think you can talk them through that process, but then also reiterate how accurate the estimates are.
Right. That's why that's step number 2 on that the 5 easy steps slide we just showed a few minutes ago, and you guys will have some of these slides too. But no, step number 2 is secure listing agreement. So good question, Austin. Jane Faith asked, so no amendment to listing needed. No, we will need an amendment.
That was before you showed that.
Okay. Never mind, Jane. You were a step ahead of me, as always. So good questions there. Anything else on the listing agreement? Pretty simple. You know, we're basically just saying, if we decide to go this route, we will amend the listing agreement, and that's what it looks like once it's amended. Very simple language, attorney approved. But Julie, correct. So Julie asked us in a private note, so if a buyer chooses to go with an iBuyer, they're also going to pay a 2% listing fee to us, for us to represent them. That is correct. If they go the iBuyer route, we're still going to help them through the process, help them, you know, decide which offers to take, guide them on that, and of course, guide them through the repair negotiation process and all the stuff that comes with escrow. So yes, and we do that at a discounted rate. Nina says, Nina Wren, I guess y'all are together. Can you talk about what happens when the repair estimates from the iBuyer comes in for repair and the buyer does not want to go forward? Can they opt out of the iBuyer agreement then? I think the policies vary from iBuyer to iBuyer. Let me get more information on that.
Well, if at any point in that process, you know, Opendoor hits them with, you know, 20,000 repairs or something like that, they just don't close with iBuyer. I think probably that question from Nina is more about, you know, in terms of our agreement with them, and what that looks like. So if they go through that process and they start the process with one of these companies, they have them come through and they don't like what the repairs come back at, they have options, right? Their options are always going to be to well, definitely they don't have to move forward with Opendoor, and then they can choose. Okay, well let's go back then. Is it time for me to list my house, right? If they were seriously considering an offer at any point from Opendoor at those price points, even with those estimated nets, they are a serious person to consider selling their house, right? And so what it comes down to then, if they were like, oh yeah, but only if I could get it done quickly, like I don't have time to wait, what do I do, blah, blah, blah. Well, remember, those estimated nets that they were okay taking, imagine how much quicker you can sell their house if you price point on those same net return amounts, right? So if you drop, like Crystal's example, she got 250 versus, you know, what those iBuyers were going to net somebody. If you were to change your list price and your marketing around quick sale, you guys know how to do that. You guys know that depending on how you market and list and what price point you put it at, the offers come in quick or they take a little bit more time. It's all about the seller priority.
Right. And Mark Robertson made a good point saying that, you know, iBuyer companies, they're not going to agree to buy the house and others don't, you know, agree to I mean, these folks are investors too. They're not going to buy a bad house and just list it and let it sit there. So they want things that are turnkey ready and attractive to a potential buyer once they relist it. So good point, Mark. And with that, I will turn it back to Mark.
All right.
The other Mark.
Okay, so we've got a couple more things here before we part ways. Mark just threw out there in the chat, he said, be prepared for a much higher repair estimate than you are used to when selling to a regular buyer. The iBuyers will want you to replace carpet, et cetera. So again, I think the average, and these are just averages, but they've turned out to be pretty close as we've seen and collected actual offers from these companies. The average, though, is 3 to 4% of the sales price is what these companies put in for repairs. So it like I said, it varies, but on average, it's around 3 or 4%. So keep that in mind. So what we've done here is we've created a tool for you. We've created a platform for you. We've created a marketing campaign that you can go out there with to generate potentially additional conversations, right? You have something out there that people are starting to hear about, starting to think about. They've all heard about Opendoor, and now you're the person that can get them multiple offers. Because again, why trust one instant buyer at the value in property or value of your home when you can get, you know, multiple offers from multiple companies, right? So we've created this program, we've created FlexMove, we've created a brand, we've created a package. Well, as we were doing all that, we realized this is all about your ability to still do what you've always done great, which is list the home on the open market, get top commission, and build your business, right? And so what we realized is we created all this great stuff, right? But we kind of felt like we were ignoring that traditional approach, right? And so what we did is we branded FlexMove, and now we've created what we've done historically, and we call it Total Move, okay? So Total Move is marketing and selling your home on the open market, positioning it in front of the highest number of potential buyers and netting you the highest possible return, okay? That's what you've always done. That's what you guys are amazing at. That's what you guys will continue to do, right? Remember, 99% of the time, Total Move is the answer, okay? FlexMove, as we've just talked about, it's time and convenience, right? When that's more important, when that's a priority, we can have that conversation, right? So we have Total Move and we have FlexMove. So how do these work into your conversations? How do they, most importantly, work into the listing presentation? So we are creating 2 new pages in the listing presentation that are going to go into the determining value section of our listing presentation, okay? So they're going to be right in there, right, kind of before your CMA, right? Before you show your comps and things like that, okay? And so the first page shows the 2 different approaches. And you started off by saying, Total Move is everything I just showed you. That entire marketing strategy and marketing plan that I just walked you through, that's Total Move. It's going to maximize your sales price. We're going to get it in front of as many buyers as possible. And at the end of the day, you're going to receive the highest net return on your home. FlexMove, on the other hand, if speed and convenience is more important, we can collect multiple offers very quickly. You won't have to worry about prep work and cleaning and all that kind of stuff. And you don't have to worry about repairs, right? Now, you're not going to make as much money, but it is an option, okay? So that's the page that will go in there. Now, if they're like, oh, 48 hours, I can be done, I can leave, I can get to my new job in whatever town. Okay, let's talk more. So the next page then digs into FlexMove. Because up until this point, you've shown them everything about Total Move. So Total Move doesn't need much explanation because you've just done it, right? FlexMove then can have a little bit more information about that so that you can kind of speak to it and really do a better job of explaining it. Now, if they're interested, right after this FlexMove page you see here, what do? You pull out your downloaded report. So again, this is a tool that you can really use on most listings. I know we can't use it on corporate listings just because of the way your client is the corporate, so you can't do it on corporate listings. Other than that, really, this can be used on almost all of your listing presentations because there's not much of a downside, right? Again, 99% of the time, they laugh this off because they heard the advertising and now you're showing them the reality, right? So 99% of the time, it's not a factor. But when it is, and they are interested, you can say, by the way, I do this for all my clients. With the FlexMove program, I can actually show you what these offers are expected to look like, right? It's clear that it's an estimate at this point, but you're also showing them and explaining to them how accurate our data has been over time, right? That we've collected thousands of offers, and so we use that historical data to make sure that our offers and these estimates of what the offers will be are very, very accurate. Okay, so you see the FlexMove flyer, and then you see the offer download report, which is that PDF that I showed you. Let me take a look at some questions here real quick. Let's see, Maria, will the verbiage and special vision be in a listing agreement template? No, so what we're gonna do is we're gonna email out all that. So you'll wanna store that. It's not gonna be we're not going to force it into all the templates because really we want you guys to control when you use this. We think it can be used frequently, but we're not gonna place it into all those templates. Keith asked, any idea of the top end prices of the iBuyer market? They vary wildly. We've seen them as high as 500. But typically they're going to be, the vast majority of what they buy is between 150 and 3. That's the vast majority of what they buy. Sometimes they have the ability to offer higher prices, but the majority of what they end up making offers on and buying is in that pricing window. Let's see, Duke. The offers typically come back to you in under open doors. I think they say 24 hours. Most of them come back to you within 48 hours. And then as you get them, you send them to Zavy, and they generate that report for you. So as soon as you've sent them all the offers, they're going to generate that report, okay? Let's see, addresses and generating the iBuyers. Does this work for out-of-state sellers? Yeah, I don't see why this wouldn't work for out-of-state sellers. Well, if the home, yeah, if I was thinking the seller is going to live out of state, but their home is in state, right? I've got a question for Fanny. Yes, so Jessica just walked in. She had a really good question and a great point. So I'm going to go back to a live view of the Offer Optimizer real quick because, how do I share that? Okay, you guys should be able to see the Offer Optimizer here. And let me just put in a fake address real quick, sorry. 250, oops. 250, click go. And again, it gives me all those estimates, okay? So one thing, Jessica's question was, can agents, whether it's relocation or whatever, can agents change that to be a different amount here, okay? So let's say that they want to go the route. I want to show you, because I forgot to show you this. All of this is under your control, okay? Especially your seller's agent commission. So if you want to present all of these with, instead of showing 2%, to show 3%, you can watch. As I type these numbers change and edit live, okay? So you just go in and set all these to be whatever you'd like them to be, and all these numbers will reflect that. By the way, when you look at, even when I up my seller's agent commission to 3%, they're still losing a ton of money, okay? So all of this is under your control. The defaults that we put in there was 2%. That is 100% editable, though, and changeable for both your estimate and the final report that you can create with Zavy. The other thing you can do, if you've seen the last 4 times you did this, Zillow's service fee was not 7.1, it was 9%. You can change that as well, okay? You do have complete control over what you show in these estimates, okay? Now, my recommendation is to stay close to what the defaults are, because the defaults are based on that data, right? They're based on thousands of previously requested offers, okay? So use that data when you can, but especially in the Sellers Agent Commission, you control that, you put whatever you want, okay? Great question, thanks, Jessica. All right, let me go back to the PowerPoint, and we're going to blow this back up. All right, so I'll come back to questions in a second. Let me kind of finish. We're almost done here. So that's how it's going to look in the listing presentation. So you guys can see that. And we're going to have it's going to be baked into Cloud CMA, and then we're also going to create professionally printed pages that we're going to be placing into the existing professionally printed listing presentations that we already have. So if you typically use those professionally printed ones with the tab dividers and everything, you'll have these baked into that eventually. They haven't been delivered yet, but they will be. Agent marketing, the marketing group has already created a few different pieces for you. So these are, the first two are just a couple social media graphics. So, you know, you can see the nice couple evaluating 4 offers and making it look super simple to click accept and blah, 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 blah. And the headline is just selling your home, get multiple offers with a pushable button, right? Now, that's the graphic, that's the image you post. Here's what you type in your post. So we've got that. Don't worry about screenshotting or taking all this down or trying to jot it down. We're gonna send out all this stuff, okay? So you're gonna have the scripts, you're gonna have the images, you're gonna get it all, okay? Here's another one, just a great picture of a house, need to move fast, get multiple offers on your home with a pushable button. Again, some slightly variations on what your suggested post text should read, okay? And we've got a flyer that you'll be able to use, and we're working on door hangers. So let's say you want to just kind of go through your neighborhood and market and give them a reason to call you, right? So this is the front of the door hanger that'll have kind of that same image, logo, and on the back can be your contact information, etc. So just some quick examples of what that looks like, okay? All right, that's the end of the presentation. Now I am going to try to jump through some comments here and questions. So give me 1 second as I look through here. So John asked, do we have the seller sign the listing agreement in the initial meeting? Yeah, definitely, if you can. And then show them the iBuyer quotes when we receive them. So you cannot even request the iBuyer quotes technically until you have a signed listing agreement. Now, you know, Opendoor doesn't have a way to check that you have a signed listing agreement, right? So you know, that's just the proper way to handle it all. Because you know, for them to send you offers, technically you need to be representing that person, that seller, right? So that's why the listing agreement. So your question, basically, you won't even be able to collect the offers, the firm offers, until you are their listing. Mark says thank you. John says thank you. Are the repairs the iBuyers ask for to be physically completed or just credit? Yes, you're correct. Your assumption is correct. It's just credit. So basically, that's the convenience of iBuyers is you don't have to deal with repairs. You don't have to do this. You don't do that. You just move out, right? Well, yes, because they're taking all of that money that those repairs are going to cost, and they're always inflated, out of your net proceeds. So they're just taking that away from your final cash. John had a great question. Yes, this is 100% exclusive in DFW to us, okay? Zavy works with us, and Zavy is the power and the engine that created this alongside us. FlexMove is our brand. FlexMove is trademarked by us. So is Total Move now for that, you know, as well. So basically, yes, this is 100% exclusive. You're not going to come across another agent here in DFW that has anything like FlexMove and the ability to do what we're doing here. Is there a time frame for the iBuyer offer that must be accepted by the seller? Yes, they're all going to be different, though. So each of these is going to be different. And there's one more thing that I'm going to be bringing up here at the very end. Some of you are familiar with it, some of you are not, but we are going to be incorporating it into this program, and I'll share that in just a second. But each of these iBuyers has a different time frame. Sometimes it's 7 days, sometimes it's 2 days, sometimes it's now. what happens with, I don't think it's 2 days, that might be too short, but what happens with these is, let's say that for whatever reason, the offer that they made does expire. Maybe your seller didn't make a decision in time or whatever, but then they decide later, you know what, I better just take that offer. I don't know if I can show you an example of it, but like, for example, I was looking at OfferPad's offer, and there's a button on there that says reactivate offer, right? So after it's expired, there's a button that says reactivate offer, right? And all that does is it reaches back out to the OfferPad team, and unless there's been significant changes in the market and what's going on, the offer gets reactivated. So the only reason that would change is if it's been 4 months and the market slowed down or whatever it is, right? But if it's been a couple of weeks, chances are there hadn't been enough change. Do we see some sellers wanting to list on the open market, and then if the home is not sold? Jennifer, you're setting me up perfectly for what I want to add into this. But she said possibly accepting an iBuyer offer. In that case, when do we want to keep our commission at 3%? Yes, that's a great point. So if you are planning on sharing this program with them, but selling them on the fact that you're going to list their home on the open market, right? However, once you've done that, and it's not selling as quickly as they wanted for whatever reason, you can hold. So at this point, you haven't requested any offers, right? You can hold off on that and tell them, you know what, you can always request these offers at a later time, and we can see how they work out from there. Yes, you can do that. And Jennifer's question was, in those situations, wouldn't you want to keep the buyers, or excuse me, not the buyer's agent, the selling agent commission at 3% instead of 2%? Absolutely. That's another reason we're not putting all this default language into your .loop templates, because in real estate, every deal is different, and every transaction is different, and every seller is different. And so all of this is completely in your control. So it's a great question for sure. Jane Faith needs those door hangers. Rob Hicks needs those door hangers. Me too. How do the iBuyer, John Archer says, how do the iBuyers know how much the repairs are going to be? So on the initial offers, so that, and one of the things that I was, let me jump back to it. Oh, okay, perfect. So Mark, it sounds like Mark answered that.
They send somebody out there to evaluate.
Exactly. So these first offers that you get, see how they, like right here is an example, they say pending inspection, okay? So they need to send somebody out there to tell them what those repairs are going to be. All of them have that same thing. Like here's Zillow's pending evaluation, right? So so that's the next step. So these estimated nets are actually going to drop after they add in repairs, which are always inflated. Let's see. Do we know maximum home price? So Rod, sorry, no, we don't, because they change. Literally, they change weekly, and they change iBuyer to iBuyer. You know, we're kind of used to Home Partners of America, which has always really done a great job of publicizing what their whatever top end price, and it does change still, but they do a good job. I think Opendoor puts it on their website, but again, they change so often that it's hard to know. You can rest assured it's not going above 500,000, and you can rest assured that normally it's going to be between, I mean, I think that none of them have a base level, a minimum amount, but you can rest assured it's probably going to be, under 350, under 400 in that ballpark is really where they are making offers and buying homes. So it's hard to know for sure. Some personality. Oh, Maria asked me if I can repeat the iBuyer's offer acceptance deadline. Again, each iBuyer varies on how long you have to respond to the offer. They can range from, I think, as quick as 3 days or so to 14 days in some cases, right? But the most of them give you the ability to reactivate that offer, and it's either going to be the exact same or slightly different. So most of them you can reactivate the offer, but it tends, I'm told, we haven't seen any of our actual offers do this yet, but I'm told that it ends up being about the same.
And just to make sure everybody knows, there's no trick deadline or anything contractually when it comes to that. These are all, it's up to them. And each company has different expiration periods, but there is nothing that we can come back and say, for a truck, you had 3 days to respond or whatever. So it's completely up to them.
Looking through some questions. How does this affect, commission splits? Okay. So yes, this is all done at our expense and created by us for you guys. when you walk into a listing presentation and you use this tool, it doesn't cost, there's no difference in your compensation, okay? This is exclusive to us, so we've invested in it pretty substantially. We believe in it. We believe it's something that you can use on a regular basis, but it doesn't cost you anything. Now, that said, I said at the beginning, we are also going to try to generate leads. We're going to invest in advertising and pay-per-click and a bunch of stuff to try to drive some traffic. We haven't started that yet, by the way. We wanted to get you guys real familiar with it first. But we're going to see if we can generate some seller leads. Those definitely will come as traditionally company-generated business does. So obviously, whenever we send out a referral through this program, you'll know all the details about it. You'll know what the referral fees are, splits, etc. When you're doing it on your own, there is no additional cost. When we give you the lead, it'll be a company-generated piece of business. So, Mark, are sellers agree to iBuyer upfront, or when do you suggest it? So, I guess just to Jackie's question, just to walk through the process again, you present the estimates as a part of determining value of their home. Remember, when Zillow came on the scene and everyone thought their home was worth what the Zestimate said their home was? Well, this is the new Zestimate because it doesn't cost them anything to go get an iBuyer offer, right? So many people go on to Opendoor and they request an offer on their home because it's nice and easy. So this is a new Zestimate, right? So you're coming in there with multiple values of their home, right? So that's the first step is you show them the offers. 99% of the time, Jackie, they are going to say no, thank you, and move on. And if they sell their home, they'll do it the traditional way. You won't show them actual offers until after they sign a listing agreement because you're not allowed to collect offers on their behalf until you represent them legally. For Zillow offer, my client wants to send Jennifer had a Zillow repair credit come in at $17,000. But then Zillow withdrew the offer, even though I think my seller would have given them this credit. That's really interesting. Mark says these companies are preying upon older homeowners. That's a good point because, again, they're looking for people that don't want to deal with it, don't have the energy in some cases to deal with it. And a lot of times, if it, they may not have access to or know their other options. And so when they talk to Opendoor, they only know what Opendoor tells them, which is a dangerous position to be in.
If they don't have the energy, they have the equity.
Maria says Opendoor will not take any homes that have septic tanks or solar panels. Good to know. And so James says, so not to be confused with a Mr. Special. Right. All right. So I've gotten through all the questions. I can leave it open a little bit longer, but I am pretty much done with the webinar today. I did record this, so I will be sending it out to everybody.